Huge disaster in Grand Canyon Lodge. You need to hurry and see this video. The summer of 2025 was one of the hottest on record. The air over the Grand Canyon's north rim shimmered with heat, the ponderosa pines brittle and dry. For nearly a century, the Grand Canyon Lodge had stood as a silent witness to the changing season, its massive stone fireplace and sweeping veranda offering refuge to travelers from around the world. But on the night of July 12th, the wind began to howl, and with it came fire. It started with a lightning strike, as so many wildfires do. The Dragon Bravo fire had smoldered for days, creeping through the underbrush while park officials monitored it, believing they could control it. But the winds had other plans. By dusk, embers flew like fireflies, igniting the lodge's wooden roof. Rangers sprinted from cabin to cabin, pounding on doors, shouting for everyone to evacuate. Guests stumbled out, clutching backpacks and cameras, their faces lit orange by the approaching flames. Karen Carney, a mother from Flagstaff, had brought her 12-year-old son to see the lodge, just as her parents had done with her. They stood in the parking lot, watching the fire swallow the historic building. "I wanted him to see it the way I remembered," she whispered, her voice breaking. "Now all he'll know are the pictures." By morning, the lodge was gone. Only the stone chimney remained, jutting from the ashes like a grave marker.
The brighty the bureau statue, à Béloved Landmark, les Blacken in the Ruble.
The North Rim, already remote and wild, felt even more isolated without its beating heart. In the days that followed, debates raged. Had the National Park Service waited too long to act? Should controlled burns have been set earlier in the season? But for the rangers and the visitors who loved the lodge, the questions didn't matter as much as the loss. The Grand Canyon would endure, it always had, but some things once burned could never be rebuilt. As the last evacuees drove away, the canyon's cliffs glowed red in the sunset, as if the earth itself was mourning.
Somewhere in the smoke, a raven circle.
Its wings silhouetted against the flames. The lodge was gone, but the canyon remained, eternal, indifferent, and breathtaking as ever. Huge disaster in Grand Canyon Lodge.
When I woke up yesterday, I was very sad to see that the White Sage fire burning near the Grand Canyon, well, between the Grand Canyon and the Arizona-Utah border, near where I grew up, had doubled in size, now close to 50,000 acres. But I was even more devastated to see that another fire burning on the North Rim burned down the historic Grand Canyon Lodge.
It's heartbreaking. Yeah. Joining us is former KTAR reporter, wildfire expert Jim Cross. Jim, the loss of that lodge is really hard to put into words. And the sad part is that the Dragon Bravo fire, the one burning on the North Rim, was it under control at one point?
Well, it was a controlled fire. Technically, it was started by lightning around July 4th, and they were managing the fire, letting it burn, clear out the forest. They call it for resource benefit. And Saturday night, the winds came up.
Oof.
Hard. About 10:30 at night, and then for the next few hours, it burned up a lot of stuff. Took out the lodge, National Park Service offices, housing units, a water treatment plant, a gas station, and the multi-million-dollar lodge that's been there since the 1930s. And it's gone. And you can't really put a price tag. This is going to run in the millions, but it's hard to put a price tag on. It's a symbol. It's a big loss for Arizona, a big loss for the National Park Service.
When we moved to Arizona when I was a kid, my grandparents came and visited, and we took them to the North Rim, to the Grand Canyon Lodge. We ate a meal in that. It was an amazing room with this just giant windows, and I really is. It's just unbelievable.
Yeah, the South Rim gets all the press, most of it.
Yeah.
But the North Rim is it's hard to explain. It's just different.
It's less touristy.
It's less touristy.
Yeah.
It's pretty. It's really pretty with all the timber in there.
Yeah.
But again, a big loss, heavy damage up there. They've lost 50 to 80 structures, and it didn't take very long.
When I lived in Flagstaff, we would go to the North Rim instead of the South. We went to the South Rim, but we would go to the North Rim more often because it was just so special. And I think if you live in Arizona, it's one of those if you know things. You just head up to the North Rim where it seems more untouched.
Yeah.
I guess is the best way to put it.
Yeah, I was up there about 20 years ago. There was another fire up there, and once I saw the North Rim, I'm like, okay, I can see what all the hubbubs about. I mean, it's really nice out there.
This is turning out, you and I were texting yesterday, and this is turning out to be a very destructive wildfire season in Arizona, but across the West as well, Jim.
Pretty much every western state right now has fires going, significant fires going, and it's probably going to be like this for another 2 or 3 months. Arizona, usually, hopefully, we're out of the heavy fire danger by mid-July. Because of the monsoon. Right now, that's not the case. You have the 2 fires burning in northern Arizona. Again, you have fires in almost every western state right now. So we're looking at weeks and months more of this fire activity.
Well, and we had talked to the Weather Service, and they said that it might be an active monsoon season for us, which we've been crossing our fingers for, not so much for the lightning, but we do need the moisture to kind of tamp this down. And we're not looking at anything until Wednesday, and even then, it's a pretty slim chance on Wednesday.
Yeah, and it's probably going to bring in more lightning when it comes in, which is the last thing we need right now, because the concern when this one comes in won't just be in the high country. It'll be eastern Arizona. It'll be probably southeastern Arizona. That's the worst part about the monsoon. You love the rain when it comes.
Right.
But the lightning and the wind it brings, not good.